It is exactly 9 o'clock right here in Nairobi, Kenya's capital, East African time, as we welcome you to the Daily Report. My name is George Maringa. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Catherine Simolo. We want to wish you a happy new month. How was the first half of the year for you? As we usher in the second half of the year, we want to look at the activities that have happened in the last couple of weeks, even as we look at what especially transpires in the future. On the segment tonight, Power and Politics, we have quite a different conversation with one Shiko Kehika. She is the Executive Director of Tribeless Youth. Now, this is a conversation that you'll want to listen to because the young people have been championing for a lot. Shiko will be joining us in a short while, as you can see right there on your screens. Shiko, good evening. It's good to see you. How are you?
Good evening, George. Great to see you too.
Brilliant.
I'm well. I'm keeping safe for now.
Brilliant. Before we even proceed on the conversation in a short while, I want to ask, the Gen Z have been asked to produce a leader. Is this something that perhaps we shall see coming up in the few days?
No, it's not something we should see. It's not something we're going to see. It's not something we're looking forward to.
So it's just going to continue as it is?
It's a people united, and you cannot say amongst thousands and millions of people that you need to choose one or two leaders amongst you to represent you. These voices are way too many. The writing is clear. I think if the president wants to get anything from that space,
yes,
it's clear and it's there and it's evident. It's just him acting on it,
Brilliant.
Not necessarily us having leaders to represent us.
Shiko, her mantra is, be the change that you wish to see in the world, is the mantra you'll see especially on her X handle. And we'll be having this conversation especially on matters youth and participation in democracy. It is a government of the people, for the people, by the people, as have been taught over the years, especially in social studies and in history lessons. But tonight, we want to see how the youth can further participate and what especially this means post-June 2024. Shiko will be coming to you in a short while. But before then, let's give you a glimpse of what's making headlines tonight. Tonight, caught between the devil and the deep blue sea. Political pundits paint a grim picture for the head of state amid fresh protests despite key concessions from his government. A row between the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and NIS Chief Noordin Haji appears to be in full swing, with matters now in court. The DP sued for his comments on the conduct of the intelligence chief. Elsewhere, the Grim Reaper continues to rack up a grisly tally of deaths on the roads, with several crashes reported countrywide. We want to welcome you to this broadcast as we invite your feedback as well at George Maringa _ across the socials, at TV47 News. My guest's handle is at Shiko Kehika. We want to invite you to send in your questions, your feedback, as well as your comments regarding the program tonight. Our SMS line 22047 is also open. Later on, we shall also be giving you our WhatsApp number where you can be able to channel your feedback. But before that important conversation with Shiko, let's get the show on the road, shall we? And following the rejection of the controversial Finance Bill 2024 that would have increased tax revenues in the country, President William Ruto now says the nation would need to borrow more money in order to fund government operations. This revelation, however, has triggered icy jitters amongst Kenyans who think this move will come back to bite them in the future hard. And as Mike Kagwongo reports, political analysts now say the head of state must act accordingly to stop protesters from storming streets in demand of his resignation.
Barely a week after the government withdrew its 2024 finance bill following deadly protests, the head of state has now projected hard times ahead for his government. And for Kenyans, a citizenry whom he thinks will face the brunt of things should he be forced to borrow more than planned. In a roundtable interview Sunday night, the president presented a dire situation of the future of the nation, insisting that with the withdrawal of the 2024 finance bill, the country has regressed 2 years in order to maintain government operations this year. he will need to borrow at least 1 trillion shillings.
It's because I have seen some of the demands they have made. They have said that don't hire CASs, and I agree with them. They have said remove the office of the first lady, the spouse of the second lady, and all that, and I have agreed with them. They have said a couple of things that we already are in agreement.
However, political expert Herman Manyora claims that the president appears to have withdrawn the bill in bad faith, and so compromising himself.
No, you see what the president is doing, and I wish I was his advisor once more. He's showing that he doesn't have good faith. He's not doing anything in good faith. If you repeal the finance, if you abandon the finance bill in good faith, because you've seen what is going on, you've heard and listened to Kenyans, then don't betray yourself. Now he's betraying himself. He doesn't believe in it. So he's telling you, now you have forced me to do this. You know, okay, I'm not going to sign this into law, but you'll see. Mutaona. Again, that's wrong.
The head of state said the government will be unable to support dairy, sugarcane and coffee farmers, including by paying off debts owed by their factories and cooperative societies as had been planned. Following the president's decision to withdraw the controversial finance bill of 2024, Manyora said there was a need to find ways of managing the affairs by reducing expenditure.
But once you say you are going to tax certain things like coffee, tea, county government money, and what else, so in short, you are telling Kenyans, mutaona, you think you are clever, which I think in my view is wrong. It's only 300 billion shillings on a 4 trillion budget. What you do, if you ask me, is you go for those things that are not necessary. For example, CDF. This is the time to remove CDF, because MPs know they cannot fault the president.
More protests against the government have, however, been scheduled for this week, despite the finance bill's withdrawal. A few of them are asking for the president to step down in addition to increased government accountability.
You know, Ruto must go, Moi must go. Those things are always there. Uhuru must go. They are always there. I think it's only Kibaki who didn't receive, Kibaki must go. But those things are always there. It is how you then handle as the president. You see, Ruto must go. It's almost as powerful as Moi must go. But remember, Moi did certain things. He conceded certain things. You can't ignore them. It doesn't mean Ruto must go will make Ruto go, no. But he should not ignore that, because it's possible to go, technically, yes, and the Constitution provides for it.
The government has invited umbrella bodies representing youth, civil society, religious groups, professional bodies, among others, to nominate representatives to the National Steering Committee by July 7, 2024. Mike Kagwango, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, Mike Kagwango, for that. The growing difference between Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and National Intelligence boss Nuruddin Haji has taken a different twist after a High Court certified as urgent a case filed against Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua over utterances he made against NIS boss Nuruddin Haji, claiming that Haji failed to adequately brief to President William Ruto in relation to the anti-finance protests. Moiga William reports.
Justice John Chigiti, sitting at a Nairobi court, has certified a case filed by activist Frederick Bikeri against William Ruto's principal assistant Rigathi Gachagua as urgent, directing the respondents and interested party to file and serve their submissions within 3 days. The suit against Deputy President comes barely a week after making his remarks while in Mombasa, with Bikeri arguing that the sentiments issued against the NIS head Nuruddin Haji were untruthful, inciting and unlawful, and falls under the threshold of the conduct expected of a public officer under Article 73 and 75 of the Constitution of the Leadership and Integrity Act. Through lawyer Dunstan Omari, Bikeri argues that the National Cohesion and Integration Commission should commence investigations of Gachagua's utterances. On Wednesday last week, Deputy President, in his characteristic bare-knuckle delivery, accused Haji of failing in his duty to thoroughly and in a timely manner brief President William Ruto on the extent of the anti-finance bill and anti-government sentiment that led to the protest that turned deadly.
Had Nuruddin Haji done his job, we will not be where we are today. He has no capacity. He is out of the country most of the time on business trips. The country is on its own.
Gachagua adding that the lives lost in the protest could have been averted should the NIS have been diligent, further claiming the NIS boss failed to inform the president about the magnitude of the protest in time to avoid unprecedented carnage and loss of lives. The deputy president also demanded that Haji take responsibility for the mayhem witnessed across the country and, crucially, for him to resign.
President William Ruto deserves better. He deserves a director general who knows what he's doing. He deserves a national intelligence service that is effective and that can analyze situations and keep him and the government informed on what is going on.
The matter will be mentioned on the 15th of this month to take a ruling date. Mwege William, TV47.
Thank you, Mwege William, and we wait to see how that plays out. Now, after there is, a lot that will be expected to be conversed, especially regarding this story that is coming up, where police have today, or rather the lawyers have today accompanied the former Nandi Hills Member of Parliament, Alfred Keter, who presented himself to the DCI headquarters under summons following yesterday's dramatic arrest and release. Accompanied by Azimio la Umoja leaders, the ex-MP condemned the circumstances of his arrest yesterday, taking particular issue with the conduct of the officers. Madsen Wambugu has more.
Following the dramatic arrest yesterday of the former Nandi Hills Member of Parliament Alfred Keter, the ex-legislator presented himself to the DCI officers today, interestingly, in the company of Azimio leaders.
They gave some verbal allegations, really nothing, because there's nothing presented officially. Just mere allegations and harassment, basically.
Keter had little good to say about the officers who arrested him yesterday.
I was abducted, and I was watching on TV yesterday when the president said, when you are summoned and then you fail to honor the summons, that is when you are arrested in the manner that I was arrested. But I was not arrested, I was abducted. There were no summons. I was never summoned. The first time I got to understand that I had issues to which they wanted to level against me, or they're raising allegations, is when I got here.
Azimio leaders present demanded clarity from the state over Keter's status, equally condemning the conduct of the police and recent spate of abductions or arrests, as the government will term them.
Number one, we are aware that there are still a number of Kenyans, very many Kenyans who are still missing. When we have asked the DCI officers here, they have told us that it is not them who took these people. So, despite the promises that were made by Ruto during the campaign, he is still maintaining police hit squads, people who are not even known to the police. And they are the ones conducting these abductions. At least for Alfred Keter, there were people there to film it. And that is why he is still safe here.
They further urged the government to live within its means and cut on unnecessary expenditure.
They should ensure that that budget is reduced to around 3 trillion. We don't need a budget of 3.9 trillion if we can't manage it. And it is clear that in the last financial year, they only managed to collect, this financial year that is ending today, 23-24, they only managed to collect 2.3 trillion, which means that we are running this country on a deficit. So therefore, we don't need a budget of 3.9 trillion.
Mazden Wambugu, TV47.
Thank you, Marsden, for that. The family of Daniel Kakai, the young man who died while receiving treatment at the Bungoma County Referral Hospital after he was shot by police officers on Tuesday during the Gen Z protests in Bungoma, is crying for the justice. As Wanji Sustain reports, the family's poverty status is posing a very major challenge to the funeral preparations.
Gen Z anti-finance bill protest on Tuesday last week in Bungoma town. It was peaceful, but as soon as the MPs passed the finance bill, things turned into a violent hide-and-seek game. Daniel Kakaya, Form 1 student at Seritanyi Secondary School, was among those that got the rough side of things, and now news of his death have caused shockwaves across the community. At Sinoko Estate in Bungoma town, we met Daniel's family in a burial preparation meeting. His aunt narrates the last moment shared with the late Daniel.
Mtoto wangu alikuwa mtulivu. Ulikuwa ukimwambia kitu anakuambia nyanya, wacha nifanye, mimi sina mengi. Munisaidie mali niko. Mtoto wangu ameteseka. Ameteseka sana. Hali walimpiga hapo ilikuwa shimu kidogo. Na hii shimu walisema ingekuwa mbali ingekuwa shimu kubwa. Karibu ingekuwa kubwa, lakini ilikuwa ndogo. Ikatokea huko. Na amekufa kama amesikia uchungu.
Dan wakati alikuwa kwa hiyo harakati ya kukimbia, Dan anasema alishtukia tu risasi imempita ndani na damu inamwagika.
The family is now calling upon the relevant authorities to intervene and solve the mystery of the death of their kin.
Kupata serikali, mtu ambaye amepewa majukumu ya kulinda mwananchi, unatumia nafasi hiyo kuangamiza huyo mwananchi ambaye hajajihami kwa vyovyote, hana silaha kwa mkono.
Na kijana kama huyu anaweza pigwa risasi kwa sababu ya maandamano. Nikawekwa question mark kwa malengo ya serikali ya kutumia nguvu kupita kiasi kuumiza vijana wetu.
The family is calling on leaders and even philanthropists to help the family in order to successful the burial of their young man.
Ninaomba kama itawezekana tupate wasamaria wema waweze kutushika mkono na watusaidie. Twende tujenge nyumba, kisha siku ya Ijumaa tukaweze kumtoa Dan kwenye mochari.
Jana nilikuwa natarajia yeye anisaidie baadaye. Na sasa sina nyuma na sina mbele. Naomba tu serikali yenyewe kushughulikie kusaidia.
In a joint interview with the media yesterday, President William Ruto stressed his position that any police officer who broke the law in the response to protests shall face the full force of the law.
And I have made sure that there is no extrajudicial killing in Kenya. That's number one. Number two, when I came into office, I said I want an independent police service.
Wanji Sustain, TV47, Bungoma.
Kila kiongozi ana hadithi yake ya kipekee.
Wazazi wangu walikuwa bit strict kwa sababu mamangu mwenyewe, mimi kutoka kuzaliwa sijailala nje.
The white small one, huyo ana sniff gunpowder na risasi na bomb. Alafu huyo mwingine ni ridgeback ana sniff simba.
Even the employees knows that, so when in the boardroom is the chairman, the CEO and the rest of.
What point are you a wife?
The minute you get to that inside that door, you become now the wife.
Na kila maamuzi wanayoyafanya hufichua mengi kuhusu utu wao na uongozi wao.
We see God blessing us and we now realize the power of giving also has to be rewarded back.
Kupitia kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi, tunakuletea mahojiano ya kusisimua na uchambuzi wa kina kuhusu viongozi wetu.
Pick your core business as the bigger stones. Put them in your diary first. Give priority the bigger things.
Usikose kila Alhamis saa 1:30 jioni.
In a world where challenges are as common as opportunities, there are those who dare to defy the odds. They are the entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship isn't just about starting a business, it's about embracing uncertainty, pushing boundaries, and turning dreams into reality.
Apologies for that, but welcome back. You're watching the Daily Report with me, George Maringa, and Catherine Simaloy on sign language interpretation. The clergy are calling on the Kenyan youth protesters to call off the protests planned for tomorrow, citing the mass destruction and loss of life seen in the previous protests. This comes as youth across the country mobilize behind the planned protests tomorrow. As it were, it was business unusual across the major urban centers of the country, chief among them Nairobi, as citizens attempt to wrap up business in anticipation of the disruptions of regular operations that might be occasioned by protests tomorrow. Take a look.
This is a picture cue of how the capital was flooded today. Everyone was in a hurry to finish their weekly activities following the protest that will be held tomorrow.
Kama saa hii life iko juu na bado tukinyamaza itazidi kuendelea kuwa juu. So ni afadhali to sacrifice a few days, tupoteze hizo siku kidogo, but ikuwe na manufaa.
Business owners and residents were agitated with the president's response at the round table yesterday, with others claiming that they are prepared for Tuesday's peaceful protest.
Mahojiano ya jana niliangalia na kulingana na majibu ambayo rais alikuwa anajibu, they were very irrelevant. He's a president ambaye amechaguliwa wa Kenya and is not for the Kenyans. Is actually ni kama anafanya vitu kulingana na serikali yake.
Huyu nani Mithekali ametuletea fertilizer, ako na yeye hapo. Ako na ma-advisors wengi na vijana wengi wako hapo wanajifanya ati sasa ndio wanataka kujiita vijana. Wale wamemmislead. Kwa maana hata yeye mwenyewe ni kama ajui kitu tunahitaji na ile mambo aituambia. Akitolewa video zake hivi ni kama dunia na nchi zimeachana hivi.
Mimi ni kama mwanagenzi. Maana umri yangu hairuhusu kukaa kwa nyumba. Sasa ni lazima tutoke tupiganie wa Kenya. Na kuhusu maandamano ya kesho hiyo ni lazima. I'm very ready for Tuesday.
Nonetheless, the clergy maintained that they are siding with the citizens and further urged the presidents to listen to Kenyans.
Ni haki ya wale waliona kwamba hii serikali ni ya kanisa, ni haki yao kuona hivyo, na sisi tumesimama kwa upande wa Wakenya. Tunazungumza vile Wakenya wanataka, na ndio sababu tunaomba rais akae chini asikize inchi inasema namna gani.
The church leaders further called on the protesters to call off the protest and find a better way to articulate their grievances.
In order to avert any further losses to the many hard-working men and women, we urge you to cease any further protests in the best interest of our country.
It remains to be seen if these calls shall be heeded. Anastasia Mkabi, TV47.
Thank you, Anastasia. In the wake of protests against the recently withdrawn finance bill, the tragic deaths of 12-year-old Kennedy Onyango and 17-year-old Kevin Ofeambo have left their families in despair. Post-mortem results revealed that Kennedy died due to hemorrhage, while Kevin succumbed to blood clots on the head. Ann Odida with the details.
Maka alikuja kwa nyumba akasema mtoto alimngojea Ken akujie kitabu vile walielewana. Hakumwona Ken, amesikia Ken amewawa.
The heart-trending cry of a mother in agony echoes through the air.
Serikali hata wewe uko na mtoto.
Jacinta Nyango's world has been shattered by the murder of a 12-year-old son Kennedy from Rongai's Thursday shooting.
Nilisikia hivi na macho yangu kwa TV Ruto akisema mtoto wangu 12 years hajakufa. Nyinyi mko hapa. Ako anaesanipea ni mwag tu.
The post-mortem results released by DCI pathologist Peter Ndegwa today reveal that Kennedy died from severe hemorrhage.
He has one bullet which has entered from the right side of the body to the left side of the body.
But despite this being a unique case among the numerous killings reported during the protest, the post-mortem results have still raised eyebrows. What exactly killed 12-year-old Kennedy Onyango?
Hiyo report hatujaridhika nayo kabisa. Huyo kijana vile hata ukiangalia mwili yake, hiyo sio risasi moja.
But truthfully, going by the exit of the bullet, it was a very close range.
When you say killing, I don't know whether it was killing or it was accidental or it was suicide or murder. Okay? So I don't know.
Similar scenes unfolded at Nairobi City mortuary.
Aliuliwa kwa nini? Nauliza tu serikali aliuliwa kwa nini?
Phoebe Maina recounts with great pain the events leading up to the devastating news of her 17-year-old son Kevin Odhiambo's murder.
Nikapigwa simu nikamwambia kitu saa moja hapo. Nikapigwa simu nikamwambiwa mtoto wangu amekufa amelala hapo kwa mkunji. Na nilikuwa nimemtuma tu town naenda shughulike vitu zake ya shule.
And for the family of 20-year-old Kenneth Mwangi were set to lay their kin to rest this coming Thursday the 4th, it was the unusual lack of communication from their little boy that prompted a search in county hospitals and later to the city mortuary where they found him.
Jera huko Kamukoji, nikaenda hospitali zote, nikamtafuta nikamkosa. Sasa ndio nikafikiria wacha nikuja huku sete mosale nione kama ako hapa.
A section of leaders are however still pressed with what they perceive as a lack of empathy or remorse on the part of President William Ruto on these tragic events that have crushed so many dreams.
But to know that our president could go live on TV and lie through his teeth and deny these deaths, he even denied the death of a 12-year-old boy is as a parent, I have 4 children, 2 of them are General Z's. I have 2 General Z's, I have 2 General X's. It's impossible for me even to comprehend the pain of parents today.
For all these families, their demands remains clear.
Mtoto wangu apate haki yake. Ombi langu ni hiyo, sina ombi lingine.
And I even spoke to OCS Central. He refused to record her OB. He said no, he'll not record any OB until the postmortem report is out.
Sasa naomba serikali inisaidie juu hata mimi sina hata kitu, ni kitu nimepata kwa ghafla.
Justice Ann Odida, TV47.
2 people have today lost their lives after the motorcycle they were traveling in was involved in a collision on the Homa Bay Migori Highway in Homa Bay County. Quinto Wafula reports.
These are the remains of the motorcycle the two were riding on a short while after it lost control and collided head-on with this truck. According to the eyewitnesses, the motorcycle was at a high speed, which made it difficult for the rider to control it after the bursting of the front tire, which resulted to the fatal crash.
Lakini sasa vile alibust mguu, ilibidi sasa waingie mbele ya lori, wakagongana. Sasa vile aliingia, driver ya lori pia alijaribu vile alikuwa naweza.
Mtu ya bodaboda alikuwa anatoka road na Mainti. Walikuwa na watu wawili. Kidogo tu ameacha barabara kama nikuja. Mimi nimejaribu kuepa lakini ikawa amefika.
Na sasa mguu ya pikipiki ka pasuka. Kwa dakika chache tumesikia ati wawili wamekufa. Tukifika hapo tumepata kama wamefariki kwa barabara.
Residents of the area have complained about the narrowness of the road and are now calling on the road users to observe traffic rules to prevent such accidents.
And the accident has occurred because of the narrowness of the road.
Tunaomba serikali atuzoeke hii barabara afungulie kubwa sasa.
The bodies of the deceased were taken to Homa Bay County Referral Hospital mortuary. Quinto Wafula, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, Quinto, for that. Western Gishu Senator Jackson Mandago, together with 2 other co-accused persons, appeared before the Nakuru Law Courts on Monday for a hearing of a case of their involvement in the Finland education program saga, where a state witness appeared to testify against them, as Chichi Josephine now tells us.
The first to appear on the dock was chairman of the Uasin Gishu County Revolving Education Fund, Joel Chelule. In his testimony, Chelule revealed that he received huge sums of money for accompanying Governor overseas in 2021, where he was paid 700,000 shillings as per diem to accompany the then County Governor Jackson Mandago to Finland and Canada to sign a memorandum of understanding with 3 universities for an overseas education program for students in the county.
Where were you on 4th to 21st of August 2021?
I was in Finland.
Who did you go with?
I went with the governor then,
yes.
Honorable Jackson Mandago, Joel Ruto.
Joel Ruto.
And there was the PA to the governor.
Yes. Who paid for your ticket?
The county government of Uasin Gishu.
The county government paid for that?
Yes.
Did you receive any other finances per diem or any money?
Yes, I did.
You did. How much did you receive?
It was around, I don't have the exact figure, but it was around 700,000.
The official who was testifying against Senator Mandago and 2 officials, Joshua Lele and Mesha Krono, who have been charged in connection with the 1 billion shillings overseas education scholarship scandal, told the court he did not know his role in the trip and neither did he understand the reason for his inclusion.
Why would the governor choose you to go to Finland and not any other person?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know.
The witness further denied traveling in the capacity of the chairperson of the Uasin Gishu Overseas Education Fund and being aware of the existence of the trust, which he only came to learn of his existence in September 2022, long after the trip.
Were you aware of this program for overseas education? Were you aware of it? That's a very simple question. It's a yes.
No.
Mandago is said to have abused his office between March 1st, 2021 and March 31st, 2022, when he allegedly entered into a memorandum of understanding with universities in Finland and Canada on behalf of his government without approval from the county assembly.
So what took you there?
Governor had said that he wanted to have an MOU with them so that students could be facilitated to go and study in Finland. I remember seeing the governor signing the MOUs with them.
Yes.
The 4-day hearing began on Monday and will end on Thursday. The prosecution has lined up 202 witnesses.
So that was the only witness present today.
Chichi, Josephine, TV47.
King and adjournment.
Thank you, Cheche, for that. Lands Cabinet Secretary Alice Wahome has put unscrupulous business people on notice in Nairobi's South B estate, where plots of land whose costs run into millions are alleged to have been grabbed. The CS warning came as she met close to 2,000 traders in Nairobi South Ward, led by area MCA Wethira Shege, whose main grievance was land grabbing. The CS promising to work closely with the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission EACC in reclaiming public land. That said, the traders have been selling their merchandise on road reserves, putting them on a collision course with the Kenya Urban Roads Authority. They now stand to benefit from a new market to be constructed by the government.
So reason number one, waziri, mimi nimekualika hapa ni ya kwamba ukonfamia hawa traders ya kwamba unajenga soko hapa ya milioni 400. Ukisha confirm hiyo, sisi wenyewe kwa sababu tunajua wafanyabiashara ni akina nani, tuliwaonyesha ile drawing ulitupatia ya kuonyesha vile soko itakuwa inakaa. Number 2, waziri, sisi tunataka tukuforwardie list ya hiyo mashamba yote imenyakuliwa hapa na ni ya wananchi, uturudishie kwa wananchi wa South B. Ukizunguka South B yote, sisi hata hatuna hall ya kukutana. Ni ukweli? Si nile kidogo tu iko KANU.
Wananchi hawakosei sana, wanajua mali yao. Waniletee ndio tuangalie rekodi zetu, na pale nitapata imeenda nitawashughulikia na kurudisha pale tutaweza kurudisha, tutarudisha pale inahitaji mimi niandike barua kwa EACC ndio nipate usaidizi kwa institutions zetu za serikali. Pia nitafanya hiyo, nitaweka bidii, na tayari tuko na mmoja ambaye tumekubaliana, ilikuwa imeenda hapa kwa shopping center ambaye tunatayarisha kujenga market. Najua ilikuwa na shida na hiyo shida imetatuliwa. Upande wangu ni kuhakikisha ya kwamba itabaki ikiwa ni mali ya umma.
Sports News. Kila kiongozi kiongozi ana hadithi yake ya kipekee.
Wazazi wangu walikuwa bit strict kwa sababu mamangu mwenyewe, mimi kutoka kuzaliwa sijailala nje.
The white small one, huyo ana sniff gunpowder na risasi na bomb. Alafu huyo mwingine ni ridgeback ana sniff simba.
Even the employees knows that, so when in the boardroom is the chairman, the CEO and the rest of... At what point are you a wife? The minute you get to that, inside that door, you become now the wife.
Na kila maamuzi wanayoyafanya hufichua mengi kuhusu utu wao na uongozi wao.
We see God blessing us, and we now realize the power of giving also has to be rewarded back.
Kupitia kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi, tunakuletea mahojiano ya kusisimua na uchambuzi wa kina kuhusu viongozi wetu.
Pick your core business as the bigger stones. Put them in your diary first. Give priority the bigger things.
Usikose kila Alhamis saa 1:30 jioni.
In a world where challenges are as common as opportunities, there are those who dare to defy the odds. They are the entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship isn't just about starting a business, it's about embracing uncertainty, pushing boundaries, and turning dreams into reality.
Hata ambao ni pesa ya kusave, wallahi. Ambao mwaka ni pesa nyingi sana.
As long as you're earning something, there's always that opportunity to save. And you start with where you are.
The way we run the business is in a very unforgiving way, where every team member has to bring out their best.
So, to all the dreamers, innovators, and risk takers out there, remember, being an entrepreneur isn't just a job, it's a way of life. Join the journey. Become an entrepreneur. The Grind, Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Here on Beyond the Limit, we celebrate the extraordinary achievements of individuals who redefine possibilities. In a journey of resilience and determination, these individuals demonstrate that limitations are merely stepping stones to greatness.
I'm Nancy Njoroge, a mother of 3. I have 2 girls and a boy who is Clinton and who is autistic.
When my heart got healed, I decided to come out to be creating CP awareness, to let other people know that there is such a condition, and people that has it is not that they are witches.
Together, let's go beyond the limit every Saturday at 8 p.m.
Welcome to The Realtor, where we take you on an exciting journey from bare land to dream home. Step 1. Finding the perfect plot. We explore location, size, and potential. Next, construction begins. Witness the foundation being laid, walls rising, and rooms taking shape. Step 3. Electricity matters. We delve into wiring, switches, and smart home tech. Step 4. From paint choices to fixtures, it's all about aesthetics. Step 5. It's time to get the right furniture. Finally, the big day. Time to move in and create memories. Join us on the journey to making homes a reality on The Realtor, Tuesdays 6:30.
Kila kiongozi ana hadithi yake ya kipekee.
Wazazi wangu walikuwa bit strict kwa sababu mamangu mwenyewe, mimi kutoka kuzaliwa sijailala nje.
The white small one, huyo ana sniff gunpowder na risasi na bomb. Alafu huyo mwingine ni ridgeback ana sniff simba.
Even the employees knows that, so when in the boardroom is the chairman, the CEO and the rest of.
What point are you a wife?
The minute you get to that inside that door, you become now the wife.
Na kila maamuzi wanayoyafanya hufichua mengi kuhusu utu wao na uongozi wao.
We see God blessing us, and we now realize the power of giving also has to be rewarded back.
Kupitia kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi, tunakuletea mahojiano ya kusisimua na uchambuzi wa kina kuhusu viongozi wetu.
Pick your core business as the bigger stones. Put them in your diary first. Give priority the bigger things.
Usikose kila Alhamis saa 1:30 jioni.
In a world where challenges are as common as opportunities, there are those who dare to defy the odds. They are the entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship isn't just about starting a business, it's about embracing uncertainty, pushing boundaries, and turning dreams into reality.
Hata ambao ni pesa ya kusave, wallahi. Mbao mwaka ni pesa nyingi sana.
As long as you're earning something, there's always that opportunity to save. And you start with where you are.
The way we run the business is in a very unforgiving way, where every team member has to bring out their best.
So, to all the dreamers, innovators, and risk takers out there, remember, being an entrepreneur isn't just a job, it's a way of life. Join the journey. Become an entrepreneur. The Grind, Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Here on Beyond the Limit, we celebrate the extraordinary achievements of individuals who redefine possibilities. In a journey of resilience and determination, these individuals demonstrate that limitations are merely stepping stones to greatness.
I'm Nancy Njoroge, a mother of 3. I have 2 girls and a boy who is Clinton and who is autistic.
When my heart got healed, I decided to come out to be creating CP awareness, to let other people know that there is such a condition, and people that has it is not that they are witches.
Together, let's go beyond the limit every Saturday at 8 p.m.
Welcome to The Realtor, where we take you on an exciting journey from bare land to dream home. Step 1. Finding the perfect plot. We explore location, size, and potential. Next, construction begins. Witness the foundation being laid, walls rising, and rooms taking shape. Step 3. Electricity matters. We delve into wiring, switches, and smart home tech. Step 4. From paint choices to fixtures, it's all about aesthetics. Step 5. It's time to get the right furniture. Finally, the big day. Time to move in and create memories. Join us on the journey to making homes a reality on The Realtor, Tuesdays 6:30.
Kila kiongozi ana hadithi yake ya kipekee.
Wazazi wangu walikuwa bit strict kwa sababu mamangu mwenyewe, mimi kutoka kuzaliwa sijailala nje.
The white small one, huyo ana sniff gunpowder na risasi na bomb. Alafu huyo mwingine ni ridgeback ana sniff simba.
Even the employees knows that. So when in the boardroom is the chairman, the CEO, and the rest of.
What point are you a wife?
The minute you get to that inside that door, you become now the wife.
Na kila maamuzi wanayoyafanya hufichua mengi kuhusu utu wao na uongozi wao.
We see God blessing us, and we now realize the power of giving also has to be rewarded back.
Kupitia kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi, tunakuletea mahojiano ya kusisimua na uchambuzi wa kina kuhusu viongozi wetu.
Pick your core business as the bigger stones. Put them in your diary first. Give priority the bigger things.
Usikose kila Alhamis saa 1:30 jioni.
In a world where challenges are as common as opportunities, there are those who dare to defy the odds. They are the entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship isn't just about starting a business, it's about embracing uncertainty, pushing boundaries, and turning dreams into reality.
Hata ambao ni pesa ya kusave. Wallahi. Ambao mwaka ni pesa nyingi sana.
As long as you're earning something, there's always that opportunity to save. And you start with where you are.
The way we run the business is in a very unforgiving way, where every team member has to bring out their best.
So, to all the dreamers, innovators, and risk takers out there, remember, being an entrepreneur isn't just a job, it's a way of life. Join the journey, become
Welcome back. It is 44 minutes past 9 o'clock. We thank you so much for staying with the Daily Report with me, George Maringa. Tonight, we are having that important conversation on youth participation in democracy. My guest is none other than Shiko Kehika, Executive Director of Tribeless Youth. Shiko, thank you so much for joining us. She is joining us virtually tonight. And, you know, it is quite, it has been a series of a tumultuous 2 weeks heading to 3, Shiko. I would want to begin by picking your mind, especially from the events of last night. President William Ruto, in the roundtable with journalists last night, spoke on a wide range of issues. First, did you feel like he spoke to you and to the youth in general?
I think I cannot basically speak to all the young people, but for me, I can say he did not speak to me. Because the president did not show any sign of remorse, one. Second, he did not show any sign of regret. I love the fact that towards the end, he kind of tried to humble and say, I'm going to listen, I'm going to hear you. And if you want me to meet you on the online spaces you're using, then I can meet you there. But now waking up today to, we have scheduled a space for you on Thursday or Friday, for me felt like it's condescending because the youth were very clear that these are the issues we need addressed. What I would have loved to hear from the president would be, these are the timelines I have. You said you're going to do away with the office of the First Lady. You're going to do away with the office of the spouse of the Deputy President. You're also going to do away with the office of the spouse of Musalia Mudavadi, who I honestly to date have never known what his role is in government, and how legal that position is also. For me, I wanted to hear him say, within the next 2 months, this is what you're going to see from us. Within the next 1 month, this is what you're going to see in terms of the order of priority you guys have said. Because if you log in on Twitter or on TikTok or Instagram right now, I think you're able to see it clearly what Kenyans want. And also maybe the president did not understand that we've moved past the stage where you're promising to do, to the stage where we elected you, we gave you the mantle to run this nation. So then you're held accountable on the basis of this is what you promised people, but at the same time, this is what is, like they say, to whom much is given, much is expected. And we're not even expecting much by saying, you know what, reduce these expenditures so that at least Kenyans don't feel as oppressed as they've been over the past a few years, and that is 2 years that you've been in power. So I think from where I sit, I would say I did not feel like the president was intentional with the young people. I did not feel like he understood that the Kenya that we had that young people did not understand, or rather sounded like they were not interested in the political matters, and now woke enough, very much understand issues, very much engaged, and really want to meaningfully feel like they are participating, or rather meaningfully participating and engage in the governance systems.
Brilliant. Shiko, in trying to have this conversation, of course, we did reach out to other leaders, especially from the older generation, those who have been in politics before, and they have all, been telling me, George, let the young people speak. And then do you think that perhaps your message is being understood? Because most have been like, okay, the young people, they are quite different, let them speak for themselves. Do you think that, the messaging that you are saying is one that is it comprehensible? Can be comprehended by those that, have been elected to be in positions of power?
I do believe the reason why people are now shocked that the young people can actually speak for themselves is because for the longest time, even in our programming, we always wanted to talk to and not talk with. Okay. We always wanted to talk at and not talk with. We always wanted to go teach them and not even listen to them. So now when young people wake up and say, you know what, we actually know and we actually understand what is happening and we actually want things to work for us. And even these jobs are being promised, we've done our research, because it's really, I think the brighter side of the young people right now is that majority of us are educated, majority of us understand what we want, majority of us know how far you can push us. So I think even for the older generation, I think for them is to understand that, or rather they've begun to understand that you can no longer speak on behalf of or speak for the young people. And it's high time that people have realized that, oh, well, these young people that we thought are really not engaged, and a term that most people used to say is, oh, young people are ignorant on matters politics. I think young people have been able to say in the last 2 weeks that we actually understand politics. And it's not even 2 weeks, because it's been a debate that has been happening over the last 2 months or 3 months in terms of the finance bill conversation. Is young people saying we will participate, and if you do not hear us here, we understand our rights and we will participate there in the streets too. And for me, this means that young people are not ignorant. Young people are not uninterested in matters politics. It does not also mean that they cannot speak on for themselves. Now, young people are proving that they are more articulate on their issues than anyone else can ever articulate that.
The young people, especially with these protests, have come up with something that is very disruptive, so much so that the president has not once, not twice, said he is willing and ready to have a conversation with young people. But at the beginning of this conversation, Shiko, you told me that having a leader per se is not something that the young people are interested in. This, is a break away from tradition, where we would say, the president wants to, focus and speak to perhaps a leader or, a section. And we've seen, the framework that he has put out there. But there seems not to be something, that is coming out to be able to, quote unquote, help in addressing these issues in the manner that the president is prescribing. Could you speak to the issue of especially the lack of a quote-unquote Gen Z leader, youth leader, to be able to help the young people, progress and have this conversation with those in power?
I think the beautiful thing here is to show that the millions of people coming out, or the thousands and thousands of people that are coming out in the streets, are young people who feel like, I am oppressed in this way, and this is my reason to go out. This is my reason to exercise the Bill of Rights. When we say choose a leader, who then carries the mantle to speak on behalf of all these people, who then can close the box and say, oh, I have the monopoly to say this. But also we are living in a country where we know those leaders go there and get bought. Once you get money and you're given sweet deals, you forget where the cost was. I think the beauty of this, of what we're seeing, and the beauty of how young people have organized themselves, is they're saying they're leaderless, they're partyless, and they're tribeless for that matter. So that dynamic is really confusing the older generation, and specifically the political generation, because what is happening is, in politics, we are so used to having a leader who, after a handshake, we are going to change the narrative. Now, right now, it's not about the handshake. It's not about the political parties. It's not about the tribe you come from. It's not about who is leading the pack. It's about the issues that we want addressed as young people. It's about the issues that young people feel like if this is addressed, then my life as a Kenyan will become more fulfilling. But it's also about young people understanding that they are Kenyans and Kenya is their home and they're not going anywhere. So they have to make it better for themselves.
Yeah, Shiko, you know, one of the questions and one of the conversations I bumped into was that the Gen Z, the young people, these are people who are democratic even from the family setting. These guys are the people who, in a family setting, you do not wait to, you know, raise your hand to address either a family gathering or to be able to address these issues. And these are the same young people who also fall in the age group of the children of these leaders. In the context that you have given and saying, you know, young people are aware of themselves, so one would ask, and, you know, it's a question that I've also bumped into, how do you want the president to communicate with you people?
We want him to listen, to hear us. We do not want the president to feel like he has to talk. And that is, I think, one thing that is not being clear or being made very clear.
Yes.
Is that we are not asking, create a space for us to come and listen. We are asking, let us create the space so that you can come listen. And the idea here is not to just listen, but listen to understand and actually do it. The biggest struggle we have right now, and I think even in the yesterday's roundtable, we had the president saying that he cannot just listen, he will have to have a conversation so that it's a dialogue. But we've been dialoguing with you when you were campaigning. You came into power, we still dialogued with you when you said, oh, I'm promising this, I will do this. And we were patient enough for 2 years. So it is the first time the young people of this nation are saying enough is enough. And maybe it's time for people to sit down, including the president, listen keenly, understand what they want. And then they say, we have told you we need A, B, C, D. And you know what is the most brilliant thing, George? Is that I've seen young people break down the finance bill, the budgets from a local perspective. Like, you know, you look at your kitchen and how much you spend, and then you just say, you know what, if I don't need this, then I should not be doing this. Maybe it's time we learn from them. And like you have said, this is the generation that is very diplomatic. And this is also the generation that is very democratic. So they're not going to wait for you to bring the table for them. They are going to come and bring us to sit there. If you did not factor them in, then you will have to figure out how to factor them in. And on top of that, I'll add and say this. Amongst this generation, some of them have another generation called the Alpha generation. That is even worse. And I'm not sure this country wants to wait for that. So I think seeing what we have right now is saying that we have a generation that is saying our parents kept quiet and it's our turn and we cannot keep quiet for the sake of our kids. We need to create a space where our kids can come and express themselves freely, but love their country and serve their country, knowing that their country loves them back equally.
So in the poster schedule that has been making rounds on social media, the schedule from 28th to 4th July 2024 is that today, Monday, it said we print posters with the faces of our Madras police, traitors MPs and government agents, stick them everywhere, every single place. Now Tuesday tomorrow, 2nd of July, hashtag Occupy Everywhere. A public holiday, all Kenyans of all ages in solidarity shall occupy all major roads in the country and sit down. How will that happen?
It has happened before. And I think one thing is we cannot underestimate this generation.
Yes.
I think the first protest, when they announced that we are going to the streets, everybody underestimated them. Until they showed up and people did not know where these young people came from. And I remember we were having a conversation with my dad, and my dad said, I saw so many young people I've never known we have this much.
Yeah.
So it means it's going to happen eventually. Last week they said, we are going to declare Tuesday a public holiday. And true to it was a public holiday. Because how many people actually went to work? You understand?
Yes.
So I'm seeing this and I'm seeing it happen again and again. And I know for sure when they mean it, this is the generation that says and does. So we cannot underestimate them. This is the generation where you tell them, oh, you did not get your notification letter stamped. They will still be in the street and quote the Constitution and say it is within their rights to do that. And the Constitution does not say they need permission from anyone to be in the streets. So I know for sure they're going to do that.
They're going to do that. Your tweet, or rather your post on X before, going on air, you said, I promise I won't say I'm the Gen Z leader. I also promise I won't make myself look like the superhero of the protest. So the protests are on for tomorrow. What are some of the issues that, the youth want addressed? Because the Finance Bill 2024 has been dropped in its entirety.
It's not in its entirety, because I'm just from also having another space on X where a lawyer was explaining to us how difficult it is for a president to just pronounce a bill as rejected, because it has to go back to parliament, where we know our well-paid members of parliament per se are on recess. And I don't think they're treating this issue as an urgent issue, which for me, I think should have been before recess or anything else. This is the first matter that you should have handled. On recess until 22nd. And according to the Constitution, this bill has only 20 days before it becomes law. So I know that Senator, one of the members of parliament or members of the National Assembly is in court seeking clarity on what that means. So we are all in limbo because we do not know if this actually means that this will this bill will become law, or how are they going to go about it? Because we're also dealing with a government that has been able, or rather has known how to do curveballs when it comes to law, or rather not really follow the rule of law to the core. So we are not sure as at yet what that means. But at the same time, again, the agenda remains reject finance bill, take accountability, reduce the recurring expenditure, reduce the salaries of the MPs, reduce the amount of money you're spending on travels, reduce the expenditure people are spending, ban Harambes. I think that is the one key thing, and not even ban Harambes, that we cannot have members of parliament elected by the people flaunting money in front of the people the way this government is doing. I think some of these things are very clear. I know there is an underlying issue that everybody is talking about that has been the hashtag Ruto must go. It's also a bigger conversation for people to have. And why does the nation feel this way? Because for a hashtag to have millions and millions of comments, it then means there's a deeper issue that people must address. And at the same time, I think the Kenyans are asking they're asking the government to stop oppressing us with punitive taxes. And I think it's very clear that we are also asking now, stop extrajudicial killings, stop killing us. Because what have we done apart from exercising our rights? So I think it's critical to see, it's critical to understand what they are saying. But in a nutshell, those are some of the things that I can mention top of the head that I know for sure this is what Kenyans want. But at the same time, I had forgotten something that is very crucial, very important. Reconstruct IEBC ASAP.
Brilliant. And talking of reconstruction, let's ponder on that as we simmer on that conversation with Shiko Kihika, the Executive Director of Tribeless Youth. We want to take a short break, but when we come back, we have more on the other side as we try to debunk youth and participation in democracy. Please keep your feedback coming. Her X handle is Shiko at Shiko Kihika. I am at George Maringa _. You can also post to at TV47 News. Our SMS line is 22047. Do stay with us.
Kila kiongozi ana hadithi yake ya kipekee.
Wazazi wangu walikuwa bit strict kwa sababu mamangu mwenyewe, mimi kutoka kuzaliwa sijailala nje.
The white small one, huyo ana sniff gunpowder na risasi na bomb. Alafu huyo mwingine ni Ridgeback ana sniff Simba.
Even the employees knows that. So when in the boardroom is the chairman, the CEO, and the rest of.
At what point are you a wife?
The minute you get to that inside that door, you become now the wife.
Na kila maamuzi wanayoyafanya hufichua mengi kuhusu utu wao na uongozi wao.
We see God blessing us, and we now realize the power of giving also has to be rewarded back.
Kupitia kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi, tunakuletea mahojiano ya kusisimua na uchambuzi wa kina kuhusu viongozi wetu.
Pick your core business as the bigger stones. Put them in your diary first. Give priority the bigger things.
Usikose kila Alhamis saa 1:30 jioni.
In a world where challenges are as common as opportunities, there are those who dare to defy the odds. They are the entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship isn't just about starting a business. It's about embracing uncertainty, pushing boundaries, and turning dreams into reality.
Hata ambao ni pesa ya kusave. Wallahi. Ambao mwaka ni pesa nyingi sana.
As long as you're earning something, there's always that opportunity to save. And you start with where you are.
The way we run the business is in a very unforgiving way, where every team member has to bring out their best.
So, to all the dreamers, innovators, and risk takers out there, remember, being an entrepreneur isn't just a job, it's a way of life. Join the journey. Become an entrepreneur. The Grind, Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Here on Beyond the Limit, we celebrate the extraordinary achievements of individuals who redefine possibilities. In a journey of resilience and determination, these individuals demonstrate that limitations are merely stepping stones to greatness.
I'm Nancy Njoroge, a mother of 3. I have 2 girls and a boy who is Clinton and who is autistic.
When my heart got healed, I decided to come out to be creating CP awareness, to let other people know that there is such a condition, and people that has it is not that they are witches.
Together, let's go beyond the limit every Saturday at 8 p.m.
Welcome back. You're watching the Daily Report with me, George Maringa, as we have a conversation on youth and participation in democracy. Tonight, we host Shiko Kihika, the Executive Director of Tribeless Youth. And this is a conversation, of course, that we've been having. And earlier on, she did debunk the issues that the youth want, even as we look at the aftermath or after the events that happened, especially after that roundtable with President William Ruto. Shiko, thank you so much for staying with us. You speak to us virtually, or rather you're joining this conversation virtually. Earlier on, it was quite difficult getting, the young people, as I told you, to whomsoever we reached out to, they were all saying, let the young people speak. And when the young people, we reached out to them, they expressed some sort of fear. You, on the other hand, have been brave enough to join the conversation online. However, what are some of the fears or threats that perhaps you guys are going through?
So I think I've seen, and I'll say in the past few weeks, we've seen so many people being abducted.
Yes.
The president called it an arrest, but that's not how an arrest is done. An arrest is not done by people breaking into your house and carrying you in the middle of the night. An arrest is not done by someone just abducting you from the literally in the middle of the road and taking you to nowhere, And this, the most weird thing is that most of these abductions, or rather the arrests, as the president called them, is that they are not being booked in the police stations. So it really becomes hard to understand why are they doing this to us, but also undermining the freedoms and the rights we have and the power of our constitution. So I think I would understand why young people are doing this, because we have seen people closest to us. We've seen people who you're talking to someone online, the next minute they're gone. We've seen comrades you were with like a few minutes ago, and then within a short time, you're being told they're being reported missing. So, but at the same time, we also saw one of their fellows, a politician. We saw them literally just coming out and literally being abducted in the streets. But still, the president justified that as an arrest. So I would understand why young people are scared to be in the front line. I would understand why young people are scared to even come out and say this is the situation. But unfortunately, it is the situation. Why I'm here is because I am not doing anything wrong by addressing this. I'm just exercising my freedom of speech. And at the same time, they say sovereign power belongs to the people. So the people have decided they need to have a conversation, and we cannot take back all our freedoms or our rights back to where our parents keep saying they came from. And that was the Moi era. We're in an era where we are being shielded by our constitution, and that is the Constitution 2010. We're in an era where we understand how to exercise our freedoms and our rights. And again, I would say, if I was doing something bad, then trust you me, George, I wouldn't have come here. If I was doing something illegal, then trust you me, I wouldn't have come here. But by sitting here and having a conversation about the state of our nation, having a conversation about what is happening to our fellow young people, the extrajudicial killings that we've seen, we've lost so many people within a very short span of time. And the question is, what did they do? It's just going to the streets to defend their rights, to speak about their rights. I honestly feel like it's unfair, and someone needs to say it. Someone needed to come out and say, you know what? You've killed enough of us. Then now fulfill, because we cannot forget that the president campaigned on a platform that he promised Kenyans that in his government we will never see abductions. In his government we will never see extrajudicial killings. In his government we will not see people being silenced from exercising the freedoms of expression. Unfortunately, 2 years down, we are here, and the young people of this nation are now telling the story of oppression. They're telling the story of extrajudicial killings. They're telling the story of being silenced. They're telling a story of being threatened, and they say they're selling fear to us, or rather they keep intimidating you so that you do not exercise your freedoms. It's uncalled for, and I do not think that is the right direction to go as at now as a country, because we say we are a democratic republic, and so we must see to it and honor that in all shapes and forms.
Whereas this has been a movement or a cause that has been advocated for or channeled especially by the young people, others have argued that it is also an intergenerational struggle where, you will hear the adults, especially the older siblings, the older generations, congratulating and saying, go youth, and, saying this is something that you all just need to do. But do you think that perhaps in your lifetime, within this time frame of this, especially this government, how optimistic, talk to us about your optimism levels in terms of ensuring that whatever you've seen, or rather whatever you've advocated for, will be heard and implemented? We've seen what has happened to the Finance Bill 2024, but will the other demands be heard and acted upon?
So I'll say something that Lema Bowie once said, is that I live in a country where there's too little to be optimistic about, that I choose to find one reason to be very optimistic. And my one reason is the young people. The young people are giving me hope that for sure, something is going to come out. And you have seen the resilience. They're not relenting. They're not willing to stop until what they're seeking is answered. And I really hope for sure, because it's 2 years into it. And I remember, again, holding the president to his word. There's a time he failed, was it Kasarani, in the signing the Charter for Youth, and promising that his government will put the youth at the center of it. Putting us at the center of it is not taking us to Arab countries or wherever you're taking us for odd jobs. Kenya is one of the most beautiful places, and I say that including Africa at large, but Kenya is the most beautiful places because 70% of us are labor force. You cannot keep exporting labor. This means it's modern day slavery. This is not why we went to school. We would want to serve our country, and we would wish you would hear us. So my hope at the moment, which I always say hope is not a strategy, But my only reason to be optimistic right now is the generation of young people we are seeing and the resilience in them and the fight they are putting on. George, for the first time, I saw someone being killed and people covering him in a flag, and they started singing the national anthem. That is symbolic. And we must not forget how far we've come for these young people to get here. We must not forget how far and how much we failed these young people for them to get to a point where they are this angered, they are this pained to be able to put their lives at risk that much.
The forum for, participating in the establishment of bills in the country as enshrined in the Constitution is through public participation. And many have wondered, Shiko, have the young people been able to submit? Have they been able to go and attend this public participation? Because as it stands, that is the forum, that's the avenue that the Constitution recognizes. And being a country governed by the law, that is the avenue. I mean, as a person, did you attend these participation exercises? Would you want them fashioned in a manner that the young people will be able to participate more?
I think we forget one thing, that Article 1 of the Constitution says the sovereign power belongs to the people and the people can choose to exercise it directly or indirectly. So indirectly is where we have our representatives come, take your views and then go represent you in parliament. Directly is what we are seeing young people do right now. Have young people been participating? I'll take you back to last year.
Yes.
During the finance bill, you remember there was also an uproar around that time. Young people submitted thousands and thousands of petitions that were not read and were not considered in the finance bill 2023-2024. Remember when there was the housing levy case that was ongoing in court? Young people flooded the courtroom until the judge had to block people from coming in. These people are participating, right? But the government has chosen the old way of participating, where I'm going to choose a Wednesday morning for people to come participate. And I will announce it on Tuesday night or on Monday night. So these young people don't have enough room to go through the documents, because if you look at even the finance bill, it's a huge document. So you give me one day to go through it, and you want me to make my submissions the next day, might not necessarily work. So I think it's high time we start considering effective way, meaningful ways and inclusive ways of participation. And what does this mean? It means if young people are engaging more on online spaces, how do we make public participation accessible to even people who are not able to come there physically? But also, how do we build trust in the systems to make sure that if I make my submissions today, I'm not feeling like they will not be considered. I'm not feeling like they will be considered less because I might not have the financial influence. So I think it's high time that people, and I'll give you an example. From the county I come from, there's a public participation that happened. And people went, and it was a public participation that was focusing more on persons with disability. And people went and said, this is what we want. The MCA went and sat down and said, no, these people need chicken, and decided he'll buy them chicken to rear. So he's disregarded what these people feel, their positions as persons with disability, and them understanding their positions better and understanding what will benefit them. So for us is, we do not want to participate to tick a box. We want to participate to be heard, to be seen, but at the same time, to make our country better. So it's high time we make participation more inclusive. It's high time we make participation more meaningful. It's high time we make participation about the people and not the leaders.
Indeed. Let's take another short commercial break as we prepare to enter the home stretch of this conversation. You're watching the Daily Report with Shiko Kihika, the Executive Director, Tribeless Youth. My guests tonight. We have much more to converse after this short commercial break. Do stay with us.
Kila kiongozi ana hadithi yake ya kipekee.
Wazazi wangu walikuwa bit strict kwa sababu mamangu mwenyewe, mimi kutoka kuzaliwa sijailala nje.
The white small one, huyo ana sniff gunpowder na risasi na bomb. alafu huyo mwingine ni Ridgeback ana sniff Simba.
Even the employees knows that. So when in the boardroom is the chairman, the CEO, and the rest of.
At what point are you a wife?
The minute you get to that inside that door, you become now the wife.
Na kila maamuzi wanayoyafanya hufichua mengi kuhusu utu wao na uongozi wao.
We see God blessing us, and we now realize the power of giving also has to be rewarded back.
Kupitia kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi, tunakuletea mahojiano ya kusisimua na uchambuzi wa kina kuhusu viongozi wetu.
Pick your core business as the bigger stones. Put them in your diary first. Give priority the bigger things.
Usikose kila Alhamis saa 1:30 jioni.
In a world where challenges are as common as opportunities, there are those who dare to defy the odds. They are the entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship isn't just about starting a business, it's about embracing uncertainty, pushing boundaries, and turning dreams into reality.
Hata ambao ni pesa ya kusave, wallahi. Mbao mwaka ni pesa nyingi sana.
As long as you're earning something, there's always that opportunity to save.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. You're watching the Daily Report. Time now for the home stretch of the conversation with Shiko Kihika, the Executive Director, Tribeless Youth, on matters youth and participation in democracy. Shiko, when you look at how this conversation has spiraled, how things have gone, the policies that have, the young people have asked to be abolished, we are also seeing a shift in how the behavior of the leaders. Over this past weekend, we didn't see them go to churches. Young people threatened to go to the churches and to occupy pulpits and to occupy churches where these leaders had planned to attend. We are hearing even reports of how, they have changed their modes of transport. Do you think that as it is right now, that they can redeem themselves?
I do not think so.
Okay.
And I was telling someone, if I was an MP right now and I voted yes for the finance bill, I'd resign. And I'd resign because if you resign right now, then at least you save face to do go and you can say, I'm taking my time to go reflect and think about myself. But why am I so proud of what these young people are saying? They're changing something that generations that have been there before have not tried to do. They are changing the narrative that we cannot question the church. They are changing the narrative that we can allow the church to be rogue and we can allow the church to work with corrupt individuals without questioning them, because we do not question those who God has chosen. Now, it is time for them to do the Jesus work, where the Lord's work here is making sure anyone who's dining with the corrupt does not get a chance to speak. And I love the fact that they've decided to occupy these places. Occupying the church means taking the church where it belongs, taking the church back to serving the people and not the political leaders. We have seen politicians go to church fundraisers and giving millions and millions of money. It's not even equivalent to the salaries you earn. So where do you get this money from? So I think this has taught us something, that is a proper time for us to also ask and demand for a public audit of the NGCDF. It is also a high time that we demand that these members of parliament devolve NGCDF. It's not supposed to be a national kitty. And the work of your MPs at a national level. So this money needs to come back to the county, to sort the people in the county, to educate the kids in the county. So for me, it's high time we stop using NGCDF as a campaign fund, that now MPs think they're doing you a favor by not by giving you the bursaries and everything. So it's a good step, and I love the fact that we are challenging the church. The church was lost. I'm glad this generation is bringing it back to the course. And I hope it continues. Why am I so happy about our MPs now having to even adjust differently? And I said just differently because it means you can no longer use the wrong side of the road because you have siren and boot guards. You have to respect the fact that this is law and this is how law works. You can no longer stop a whole meeting of the people because you've arrived late and you need to talk because you're in a hurry to go to another meeting. You understand that you're no longer a priority. And I think Kenyans should work so hard to make this seat not really, I don't know how to put it, but make it so undesirable that when you're vying for it because you want to serve the people, not because of the deals you're going to get, not because of the money you're going to get, not because of the handout you get. Because allegedly some of these MPs sold us out for 2 million, and we can see now they're coming out to apologize, saying, I wish I knew I would not have taken this money. So just seeing this happen, for me, it means that young people are ready to occupy their spaces. They are ready to exercise Article 1 of the Constitution, and they have given life to our Constitution 2010. I think that one I give them 100%.
So, Shiko, as we enter the home stretch, quick ones. The hashtag Ruto must go is still trending. It's what you guys will be advocating for. So do you want all these things happening at a go? The firing of, CESs with questionable reputation, the abolishing of housing levy, the debt audit, the employment of JSS teachers on permanent and pensionable, the employment of intern doctors, and then also, hashtag Ruto must go. Do you want all these to go happen at a go? I mean, how would you then prescribe? Because you've said you want the president to listen and then act upon what you say.
I'd want to say we do not pay taxes in halves, we pay in full. And so our taxes must be respected in that order. But I also understand we have to have the order of priority to how things work. And the first order of priority for us, and I would say for me as Shiko, would be reconstruction of IEBC, because that is critical in this process. And as I mentioned, there's an ongoing court case where the mention was today, and the ruling will be done. The submissions should be done in the next 10 days, and the ruling will be done by end of this month. What does this mean? It means that we first need a stable IEBC, and rules must change for IEBC. It's not going to be about the political parties' favorites, but it's going to be about the people who are willing to serve the people, because we are going to also hold IEBC accountable. So it is first reconstruct IEBC. And then we know we have IEBC, because when we have IEBC, I know for sure we can also start recalling some of these MPs. At the same time, there are some things that are non-negotiable. At the same time, we want to see timelines from government, and them telling us between July 1st, today's July 1st, and July 30th, MP salaries, because today begins also another budget year.
Yes.
So we need to know how much are they going to be consuming. We need to know how much is allocated for State House. We need to know how much is going to be allocated for the MP salaries. We also need to know, now that the national government amendment, it's now an Act 2023 because they passed it, will the president assent to it? And if he assents to it, does it mean this is the new re-entrance of the CASs? So we actually just need clarity, and we need transparency. We will not be begging for information. The Constitution allows us to the right to access to information. So we need transparency. We need proper access to information. We need meaningful participation in this process. So I know for sure all of them cannot happen together, being realistic, but we need to have an order of priority through it. And the order of priority would be, as I've mentioned it, but again, I do not speak for the youth of Kenya. So the youth will have their priorities. And when they decide to set up the space and maybe invite the president and his people, then they will be able to lay down their priorities in that order.
So this, of course, is a conversation that will continue for days to come. So it therefore means that you will be checking the government in accordance to how they act upon things every time as it happens. So, this therefore means that, shall we see new priorities and new demands coming up every other time, Shiko?
Yes, depending on what is there, because we are here to participate. And the president made it clear and said, help me serve you. So we're going to offer ourselves. And we're offering ourselves because we are the taxpayers. We're also offering ourselves because we need a country that works for us. We are also offering ourselves because we have gotten to a point where I think maybe unless you push, then results will not come. So yes, there are going to be demands depending on timelines because the government is not stuck on one thing. So we're going to move from the first phase to the next phase until the last phase. So we are here to walk this journey with the president and the team. And I think it's important for us to acknowledge that normally on a normal day, Kenyans exercise their power by just voting and keeping quiet and maybe observing to see how it goes and leaving the checks and balances to most of the times the civil society. It's brilliant since to see that it's not about the civil society. It's not about your usual activists. It's about Kenyans who are, I am a Kenyan. I don't even know what activism is. I am here because this is what I feel. So for me, it feels like Kenyans have learned that you cannot just exercise your power at the ballot. You have to walk the journey with the people you've elected until they deliver what they promised to you. And I think that is going to be the new journey because when we started, I told you the Kenya we had 2 weeks ago is no longer the Kenya we have today. This is a new Kenya and we need to start addressing it as new as it is. This is our new norm and we have to normalize it and work with it.
I think it is in Ghana where, there is an expected uprising of the youth somewhere in West Africa, come September. And we've looked at how the past has been in terms of how the youth have been able to participate, whereas Occupy, the presidential palace must have been Sri Lanka, how that happened. Do you think that perhaps that's a channel, where we've seen the past, the successes of youth revolutions and uprisings, we are going to see that mirrored in Kenya, and what that shapes, especially for the conversation in Africa and beyond?
I'd want to say yes, and I think the beautiful thing is that Kenyans, we are pace setters. I have seen South Africa, I have seen Ghana, I have seen all these people coming and saying, see what the Kenyan youth is doing. They are claiming their space, they are speaking up, and we need to do the same. We've seen Ugandans speak about the same. So for me, I think why I have so much faith in this is that I know for sure things will never be the same again. Is that I know for sure we will start seeing the results of why we have institutions and government. We will start seeing the results of why we pay taxes. And I think that is the way to go. And I just want to maybe highlight and say, why again I'm saying we're the pace setter. I saw Kenyans in a space, a 10-hour space, and they raised over 20 million. What has it done? It has cleared hospital bills. It has helped bury some of our fallen heroes. And you know what? Just one person being more accountable than our entire NHIF system. So we need to ask ourselves, where do we go wrong? And those who are in those offices, we need to ask ourselves, do we need a proper audit of who is hired in this office? And why is it that our systems don't work? We've also seen Kenyans in a very short while develop a whole website with MPs, their businesses, and how much they earn. Like any single information you need, you can get it right now. We've seen a whole Kenyan sit down and say, you know what, I understand you guys are good with artificial intelligence. I've gone and uploaded the finance bill there. I've gone and uploaded this ruling here. I've uploaded ABCD here. It is making people literally get information at the tip of their fingers quick and fast. So again, I repeat, it's a new era, it's a new dawn. And I think it's proper because if we harness this power, we are going to be the mirror that Africa needs to move forward. And again, in the spirit of borderless Africa, we hope that other youth in different countries are going to see this, are going to emulate it, and we're going to make Africa great together.
Brilliant. Shiko, we could go on and on, but our time is up. So I'd like to pick your closing remarks. You can speak to your fellow youth and of course, to the government as well, and what you'd like to see even as you speak about tomorrow and the days to come.
On a normal day, if I was to speak to the government, I would lecture them about how not to increase taxes and everything, but we've seen that does not work. So it's only to say, Mr. President and your team, maybe you need to pay attention, you need to listen, and you need to understand that these young people mean the best for this country, and they cannot die for helping you do the job that you need to do. But to my dear Kenyans, my dear young people, I see you, I feel you, and I'm with you in solidarity. And whatever you're doing is important. And remember, you're doing this because you're patriotic enough to fight and put your life in the front line for this nation. Yeah, thank you, George.
Asante sana. That has been Shiko Kihika, Executive Director, Tribeless Youth, speaking to us on matters youth and participation in democracy. You have heard it. And of course, to those who have ears, they have heard. And we wait to see how the days to come look like. Shiko, please stay safe. And we hope that all your activities shall be carried out peacefully and safely. I want to wish you a good night. I am George Maringa, also thanking you for your tremendous feedback tonight. As always, stay safe and be kind to one another. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for watching.